let's go to the bold predictions. Why don't you go first?
You want me to go first? All right.
Do you want me to go first, or do you
I'll
want
go
to
first.
alternate?
I'll go first. Yeah. Do you want to go? All right. I'll go all of them together. Here we go. All right. I was looking back at the last year, and I got to be honest. This year was tough for me. It was a tough one because there just weren't a lot of like very out there predictions to be made. I think that made me feel like I was actually saying something that was reasonable. Because I try to ground these in being relatively reasonable and having an opportunity to happen. You know, a lot of things have to go right for these bold predictions, because that's what they are. They're bold. They're supposed to be a little outlandish. But for whatever reason, it was difficult for me. I don't know if you felt the same way, but it was tough to go out and stretch, because there's a lot of guys that I do expect to take another step, and some that I think are expected amongst fans at this point. All right, so I'm going to go first. My number one bold prediction, and I was very excited when this happened. But Luis Gil taking the final spot, understanding that there is a deficiency in the rotation with Garrett Cole being injured and being down. I have Luis Gil capturing a rotation spot, staying in the rotation for the entire season, and really bailing out the Yankees for not going out there and signing another veteran guy. I think Luis Gil, when we saw him in 21, his strikeout numbers, everything about the demeanor he had, the way that he looked on the mound, I felt really good about him. I said this with Max last week. I was like, he feels as close to a Severino as anyone I've seen, you know, in a long time. He does feel like that type of like dynamic guy, high strikeout number, a lot of movement. And the fact that he's established or building out this changeup, I think is a big deal for him. He's really gotten better in his control. He had a fantastic spring, and I understand spring numbers don't mean much, but for a guy like him that's rebounded, you know, he's what, 2 years, 18 months past Tommy John surgery. So he's right in that zone where, you know, he can be strong. He could go deep. The Yankees don't have an innings, or they're saying they don't have an innings limit on him. And I'm expecting the guy in 21, more mature now, having developed even more, to be a dynamic guy. And I think he's really going to bail out. I could see him, you know, at the end of the year, we look back and he was, you know, second or third best starting pitcher on the team. Would not surprise me. I think he's going to take a big stretch.
You mentioned he will hold a rotation spot for the entire season. So who's coming out of the rotation?
I don't want to talk about the negative, because I have a negative. It's more about an injury. So let's just say that I think there will be injuries, and I think that him effectively pitching in the way that he's going to pitch is going to be a significant thing, because I think there will be injuries this year for some of the guys that are currently there.
Yeah, walks are also a big thing with him, because he walked over in that season in 2021. He walked almost 6 per 9 innings, and that was obviously, can't have that.
All right, bold prediction number 2. This one's probably I'd say the most bold of the predictions, possibly. I got Austin Wells taking over the starting, quote unquote, starting catcher position, and I understand that there's going to be a platoon, but I see him leading in games played, possibly games started. I got him at 92. And by August, I have him taking on the definitive role of starting catcher. I also have him winning Rookie of the Year. I think that we're going to see a good offensive season from him, that is going to put him amongst the league leaders for rookies this year. And as we've seen in the spring, I think his defense has gotten a hell of a lot better. And I think that he is fully capable of you know, putting this team in a very good spot defensively. And defensive run save, we look back to 2022, where we had Trevino. He was right around 17 defensive runs saved to lead the major leagues. He was the best defensive catcher. I expect a slight regression from there for him. And I got Austin Wells, you know, right around 9 games, which I think is substantial for a guy that is, you know, coming in as a rookie. And actually, if you go back and look at some numbers, that puts him around defensively where Adley Rutschman was which I think is interesting. But I think he's going to take a big step up. And yeah, rookie of the year. Why not? He's got to beat Matt Holliday's kid out, which will be a tall task. But
yeah, you gotta beat a half of the
there's the
Baltimore
bold part.
Orioles lineup, pretty much. So 92 games started, like that is obviously a majority, but like that's not overwhelming majority. That's
It's not overwhelming because I think it's going to take a little while for it to happen. I think
Okay.
I think the Yankees are going to let it play out for a bit, but I think his bat is going to be too much
Yeah.
to look past. And with the defense being where I believe it is, it's going to be difficult, I think, to keep him out of the roster, especially with that lefty bat.
Okay. Number 3.
Okay, moving on. Number 3. This is one I'm excited about because I'm excited to watch him in his second full year. I got Anthony Volpe rebounding offensively. I love the fact that he's replaned his swing. Nice little Cam Maben middle of the field approach for Volpe. Had a very good spring. I see him as more comfortable in the box. He looks like just a much more comfortable baseball player right now. And you can look at numbers. You don't have to look at numbers. However you want to look at the spring. I'm using my eye test and just seeing how the guy is at the plate and approaches at bats. And I like it. I like the way he is. He's in a lineup that very much should be improved. Should give him some nice opportunities to hit balls in the strike zone, understanding who is at the top of that lineup. And if he is slotted towards the bottom, I don't know if he's going to be in the 9 spot now with LeMahieu out, but he's still going to have an opportunity. And I have him by the end of the season. I think Anthony Volpe is the leadoff hitter for the New York Yankees. And as we go into the playoffs, I see Anthony Volpe starting the game as the leadoff hitter for the New York Yankees.
So you have the Yankees making the playoffs.
I do have them at the playoffs. And I some more specific numbers. I got he had 21 last year, Volpe home runs. I have him at 20. I actually don't want to see him. Originally I had 30. I penciled him in for a 30-30 season. 30, but I don't want him to hit 30 home runs. I think he's got the ability to do it, but I don't want him to, because I think that if his game is improving the way I want it to improve, you're going to see a lot more line drives. You're going to see a lot more gaps. Probably the doubles numbers increases. So I got him at 20 home runs, and I do think he's going to increase the bases stolen this year. I got him at 40 stolen bags. So that's a tick up from last year. And really, he slowed down towards the end of the year. He didn't
get on base much.
Yeah, that's true. That does factor into it, not being on base. So I got him as a 20-40 guy, which I think would be substantial.
Is 20-40 a thing? Is that a club?
I don't think it is, but now it is. But yeah, leadoff hitter. I think that's where we're going to see the biggest thing. I think he's going to be. It's going to be if things go the way that I hope they go. I think it's going to be difficult to keep him out of that leadoff spot. Understanding that we don't know what LeMahieu is at this point, and who knows how, and if this bone bruise lingers. All right, number 4. The New Age Murderers Row is back, baby. It is back, and part of it is a svelte, slender Giancarlo Stanton. 3 Yankees have 40 home runs plus. We got Judge, Soto, and Stanton, all ending the year at 40 plus home runs. Soto hasn't done it. Stanton, obviously, we know what happened last year, but with as egregious as it was last year, 40 is not that far off if he is relatively improved. Obviously, he has to take a big step. There's a lot of confidence that needs to come from him. But again, like, he's looked pretty decent towards the end of the spring training. Seemingly, has reworked that swing a bit. We'll see. I'm going to have to give him the benefit of the doubt. 40 home runs. I think he could fall into 40 home runs if he's hitting 220. If he's barreling the ball a little more, he's going to fall into 40 home runs. So New Age Murderers Row back in action. I'm going to print the t-shirts again. I'm excited. Get Gary Sanchez out of here. Aaron Judge is the only one that's back. Who was the third person on that?
It was Stanton.
It was Stanton, right? It was Stanton and Judge. So sub out
Sanchez.
Sub out Gary Sanchez for Juan Soto, and you got New Age Murderers Row back in the Bronx. Number 5, this is a team bet. This is my glass half full team bet. I make a team bet pretty much every year. I will say this. I'm disappointed that the Orioles are better, because it was always so much fun to say that they were going to go 17-0 against the Orioles, and that was just one that continued to come back. And there's no one I can say that against anymore. Plus, we don't play as many games. I got the Yankees surprising people. I think this is where the expectations come into play. You look at all the different projections. Everybody has the AL East at like 92, 93, 94 wins, to win the division. I got the Yankees at 100 wins. I think they win 100 games and surprise everybody in the AL East, win the AL East, and doubling down on what I said last year, because it has to happen, because I need it to happen. We all need it to happen. They exercise their demons in the ALCS by beating the Houston Astros and get to the World
Better
Series.
late than never.
And that's where we are. Am I going as far as they're going to win the World Series? No.
Time will tell. All right. Nice predictions. Yeah. So, I mean, I sort of echo what you said, that the predictions were maybe a little bit difficult this year. I also had to revamp mine late last night after Jordan Montgomery signed with the Diamondbacks. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But my first bold prediction is about the newest Yankee we're all excited about. Juan Soto will win the American League MVP with 40 home runs, which is a career high. He'll also lead the league in walks, and that would be the 4th consecutive year that he does that. But the real prediction here is that he just has an amazing season with the Yankees. Everything is roses. They sign him in the winter to a 15-year, $600 million contract, which is $40 million average annual value. 15 years takes him through age 39 season in the year 2038, which does not sound real, but that is a 15-year contract for Juan Soto, who's not even 26 years old yet. And that would be the largest ever contract in Major League Baseball history that is not deferred. Although Shohei Ohtani might not ever see that money now that we know what he's got going on. My second bold prediction going into the rotation. So you said Luis Gil is going to be a stabilizing force. I think it's going to be Nestor Cortes. And he's going to really step up in Garrett Cole's absence. He's going to make the most starts for the Yankees at 30 and really provide that consistency that I think they're going to be lacking with Cole out. And his final stats for the year, Nestor Cortes, will be 30 starts, 170 innings pitched, and a 3.50 ERA. Not quite as dominant as he was back in 2022 when he had like a 2.5 ERA or something, but really looking for just consistency out of Nestor Cortes, and I think he can provide that.
That's interesting because, again, if I was going to the negative side of what I just mentioned about the rotation and injuries, he's the one I'm looking at for staying healthy. I think he's, the biggest question mark in staying healthy. So I hope that's
bigger
the case.
Than Rodon.
Yeah. I think Rodon has a higher chance of sucking, but Cortes, with some injury history here, I think that's
they all have injury history.
They all have injury history. I understand that, but I hope you're right.
My next prediction.
Actually, I don't hope you're right. I hope he has a good season. I hope he's not the best. I hope he's not the stabilizer that I hope Rodon is that guy. But I hope you're right with your prediction in his statistics.
I'm not staking my claim to a Rodon prediction.
Me either. I didn't want to put him in here, to be honest.
My number 3 prediction, the Yankees are going to have 7 above league average hitters as far as OPS plus goes. So 100 OPS plus or better. 7 hitters.
What did they have last year?
2. It was Gleyber Torres and Aaron Judge. Everyone else was below league average. And I came up with 7 because I looked at the top offenses in the league last year, Texas, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, and they had 8 in their lineup. Okay. And I'm thinking 8 is maybe a bit of a stretch, but I came up with 7 guys I feel good are going to provide better than league average offense. And I think names? I got names. And I think that would make the Yankees call it a top 10 offense in Major League Baseball. Not the best offense in Major League Baseball, maybe not a top 3 offense in Major League Baseball, but a top 10. The names are Judge and Gleyber, which we already had last year. Obviously, Juan Soto, he's going to win the MVP. Anthony Rizzo is going to have a bounce back year. I think he's going to be healthier. Obviously, he's not going to have a concussion. I don't know that we're going to see, he was like on a 130 OPS plus pace last year. I don't know about that, but he's going to be better. Anthony Volpe, to some of the reasons you mentioned. Austin Wells, he's maybe a surprise guy. He's going to have better. And the last guy is Giancarlo Stanton.
Oh, wow. So you're on the Stanton wagon now, too.
I don't think Giancarlo Stanton's going to hit 40 home runs. And I also don't know that he is going to be out there for 135, 145 games. But I think when he's playing, say, call it 120 games, I think he's going to be better than league average. And I think he's not going to be a complete life suck out of this lineup.
If he's an above average player, if he's above league average player, he's going to hit 40 home runs. I think it's just going to naturally happen. I think that's just
maybe you're right. Number 4 for me,
he gets the piss out of the ball when he
Garrett Cole will return a little bit later than originally planned. It's going to be right around the All-Star break, maybe the week before the All-Star break. Maybe they'll push him a week after the All-Star break, but he's going to make 12 starts in the second half of the season, and he's going to be the most dominant pitcher in Major League Baseball over those 12 starts. leading the Yankees on a second half surge to chase down the Baltimore Orioles, which is my number 5 prediction. September 24th to 26th, second to last season of series of the year, the Yankees host the Baltimore Orioles for 3 games. The Yankees are going to have to sweep that series to tie with Baltimore heading into the last weekend of the year, in which the Yankees play Pittsburgh, who's not going to be playing for anything. So the Yankees also sweep Pittsburgh, claiming the division by a game over Baltimore with 93 wins.
Yeah, so you're at the middle of the 90 pack.
I think there's a lot of competition in the division, and I think we obviously saw Baltimore win 100 games last year, but the Yankees were a lot worse. The Red Sox were not good. I think that this year there's 4 really highly competitive teams in the AL East. I don't know that a team is going to run away with 101 wins like we saw Baltimore last year.
Yeah, no, it would certainly be a surprise if it happened.
So I had to change my prediction because originally this was my prediction. Jordan Montgomery re-signs with the Yankees in early May to a 5-year, $125 million deal, which would put the prorated amount at $20.8 million for this year. Montgomery will announce his return in Cashman's box on Saturday, May 4th, which is Star Wars Day.
Oh my God.
The signing is going to be in response to a Carlos Rodon injury. And the Carlos Rodon injury is just so annoying to the Yankees front office that Randy Levine files a lawsuit against Carlos Rodon and Scott Boras, who swindled the Yankees, because that is Rodon's agent. And he announces, Randy Levine does, that the Yankees will never do another deal with a Scott Boras client after signing Jordan Montgomery, another Scott Boras client. At that very moment, Randy Levine is then reminded that Juan Soto is
also
is a Scott Boras client. So Randy Levine will have to issue a public apology to Scott Boras.
I thought you were gonna can Randy Levine.
No, so I think Randy Levine has way too much dirt on the Steinbrenners that I think he has a job for life. But Hal, under pressure from the public, will need to do something to Randy Levine. So he has to publicly shame him. So what he's going to make him do is on July 4th, America's birthday, at home plate at Yankee Stadium, he's going to be there shaving Randy Levine's head while fans berate him from the stands.
That's also Steinbrenner's birthday, and John Sterling is going to call the play-by-play.
Yeah,
okay.
But now that can't happen because Jordan Montgomery signed in Arizona.
That's true. 1-year deal with an option to
the lack of market for Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell this offseason just blows me away.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. Yeah, it's going to be a bone of contention when the new CBA is up. That is going to be a problem.
The players,
all right, man. Like
those, super angry about this.
Those are good. I wish Montgomery didn't sign last night, so that could have been your 5th bold prediction. But I like it as an honorable mention here. Way too much alignment on our end, though. I feel there's the pitching staff, and I agree. I think it goes back to the trouble in really identifying like some seriously bold things that aren't stupid for this team, because we expect Volpe to take that next step. That's what he should be doing. And you know, everything we're seeing is he is taking that next step. Giancarlo Stanton, what are we to believe? That he's not going to be, he's just going to fall apart, you know, because that is exactly what is expected.
If you combine our 10 predictions, it basically boils down to if some of these things don't happen, the team's screwed.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe where it is too. Like these things there are steps that need to happen for this team to be, you know, not the 71 team that who was it? Was it Baseball Reference? Who was it? Baseball Reference. Shame on you, 71. Watch them be right.
All right, that's going to wrap up for the bold predictions and this portion of the episode. We're going to be talking to Max in just a few minutes. I'll talk with him about some of the other final roster decisions and get just his thoughts entering the season.